We welcome you to a very special remote broadcast of Queer News Tonight, National LGBTQ Task Force Edition, at the Miami Beach Convention Center. We are coming to you from one of America's most important LGBTQ advocacy events, the National Task Force Gala 2022. Good evening, and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news. We're broadcasting live and then available on demand. And we're available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, and of course, YouTube and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Saturday, October 22nd, 2022. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson, and this evening we bring you the news of and a perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet. This is Queer News Tonight National LGBTQ Task Force Special Edition. We are doing this special remote broadcast at the Miami Beach Convention Center and at the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala 2022.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it. Happening Out Television Network is a 501c3 nonprofit media platform in the television and radio model of PBS and NPR, but designed for our LGBTQ plus community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. Our magazine is celebrating 37 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our news, television show, and talk entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
Well, let's begin by welcoming anchor FayWhat. She's a radio and television personality and has a popular blog and YouTube channel aiming to unite the L and the G together. She's a hostess and MC for many South Florida events, an animal advocate and owner of Fay's Fur Family. Also, make sure to catch the FayWhat Show, the first LGBTQ morning show, Mondays at 9 a.m. Eastern, online or your smart TV. Good evening, Fay.
Good evening. I'm so happy to be here. Another gala with you, Mr. Al Ferguson, and your beautiful bow tie. Let's welcome anchor Francia. Francia is an Afro-Venezuelan recording artist, singer-songwriter, dancer, lawyer, and yoga practitioner. He does that all in one day. His first album, Infinita, is streaming on all music platforms and is a genre-filled melange of Latin rhythms. Before finding his artistic vocation, Francia practiced corporate law in New York City and was a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Welcome, Francia.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. I want to thank designer Virginia Isaac at the Confessional Room Miami for this beautiful piece.
Love it.
And I want to thank my friends at La Vitrina VIP and Yangaru Music for a fabulous time during the Billboard Latin Week.
Is this your first time at the Task Force Gala?
First time at the Task Force. Cherry has been popped.
You know, we have a big highlight moment in Queer News tonight with Francia and myself on who wore it better.
That's
Who do
a
you
tough
think?
one. That's a tough one.
The jury is out on that. Now let's welcome anchor Kitty Meow. He's a model, actor, entertainer, marketer, and public relations specialist. After years of traveling the world as one of the most sought-after entertainers and working in film and in the television industry, he's also the host of the hit entertainment show, The Kitty Meow Show. Welcome, Kitty.
Thank you so very much. I am so excited to be here tonight. Of course, it's the 36th annual National LGBTQ Task Force event. And I tell you, all of the allies, all of the advocates, they're all going to be honored tonight. And we're looking forward to bringing it all to you. So keep watching.
I am jonesing. I just got to speak to Katie Fang from MSNBC. Jonathan Capehart is about 12 feet from us.
Kira Johnson is in the house,
yeah.
and everybody's looking amazing.
Amazing.
The fashion is really on point tonight.
Right? Red, white, and you, baby. And we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening, we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today. Saturday, October 22nd, 2022. This is the National LGBTQ Task Force Edition.
Well, let's begin by queering up LGBTQ plus civil rights. The National LGBTQ Task Force Gala 2022 is red, white, and you. The National LGBTQ Task Force Gala is the premier annual celebration of South Florida's LGBTQ plus community. The gala is a night for LGBTQ plus people and their supporters to unite as a community, honor community heroes, and support the work of advancing equality for all LGBTQ plus people and their families. The National LGBTQ Task Force produces the event. It was founded in 1973, and the National LGBTQ Task Force advances full freedom, justice, and equality for LGBTQ plus people and their families. In addition to funding the work of the task force, the gala also benefits numerous organizations serving the South Florida LGBTQ plus community. This year, the National LGBTQ Task Force is celebrating its 36th gala at the Miami Beach Convention Center. Queer News Tonight is broadcasting live our remote broadcast studio here at the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala. This is part of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, to support and educate the LGBTQ plus community. The event this evening features the who's who of South Florida's LGBTQ community, politicians, media representatives, business community, and allies for the entire queer community. And tonight's gala features a cocktail reception going on right now around us. We're right in the middle of it. A sprawling and spectacular silent auction, a sit-down dinner, an award ceremony, and an after party with a great DJ and dancing. The gala has invited individuals and companies and organizations to support the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala. You will be meeting some of them this evening on this on-location special edition of Queer News Tonight. The event is themed Red, White, and You as a nod to the critical midterm elections that occur on November 8th and are among the most important elections that the LGBTQ plus community has faced. It's an exciting evening for the task force and to be here, especially because of the timing of November 8th.
Right around the corner.
It's right around the corner. We're facing one of the most important elections that I can remember in our lives, with Governor DeSantis and Senator Marco Rubio, Charlie Crist, Val Demings, and then these races all over the country. So this national organization and the mission tonight allows us to celebrate and have a good time, but keeping our eye on the prize, which is November 8th.
Well, and these are the folks who advocate for us all year long, okay? These are the folks who put their boots to the ground and are knocking on doors and making sure that the right politicians are in office, you know? And today they get to celebrate that. The who's who of advocacy is here, you know? And these guys come from New York, they come from D.C., but also South Florida is represented. You see SunServe up in here, you see Save up in here. Like, I just love to see the diversity and just see, like, all these people fighting for us.
I must tell you, I went to high school just around the corner at Miami Beach Senior High School.
Oh, wow.
And to tell my little Caesar back in ninth grade that he would be here among the who's who of LGBTQ rights and advocacy, I would not have believed it.
Yeah. And dressed this fabulously.
So way to go.
And Kitty, you're a longtime icon of South Beach, especially. Long association with the task force, winter party, etc.
Absolutely.
It must be very exciting for you to be here.
Extremely exciting for me to be here. You know, I'm always someone that is looking at the glass half full, very optimistic. However, these next elections are so critical that everyone go out and vote, that I'm very, very concerned. I'm grateful that everyone is here, and I'm grateful that we are going to be pushing the get out to vote agenda.
You know, one last thought. We're going to talk about a number of the things that Task Force is about, how they serve our LGBTQ community, a variety of the events and projects that they do. But is there is there any glaring issue of doing such a glamorous evening like this tonight with what we're facing on November 8th, or are we in the camp that
we deserve this, Al? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yeah, we deserve to be dressed up, and I mean, this thing takes a whole entire year to put together, Al, and this year has been tough as it is. So on top of that, we deserve a night to dress up and enjoy ourselves and give a high five to somebody else that's working just as hard as you are to help our community.
Yeah.
And coming out of a pandemic, this is not just a party. This is an opportunity to rekindle relationships and to connect with our community. So I'm so excited we're doing it up tonight.
Celebrating the LGBTQ
Yep.
community. I agree.
Red, white, and you. And we continue with queering up the USA view. Task Force Gala honorees represent the best of LGBTQ and allies. The highly anticipated National LGBTQ Task Force Gala will recognize the honorees for this year. Tonight's gala will be presenting awards throughout various categories. The 2022 Eddie McIntyre Community Service Award will be given to a family that has championed equality for LGBTQ plus people and broad social justice reform for more than 3 decades. They are Lieb, Seth, Naomi, and Tashi, also known as Natasha Gadinsky. The Gadinskys' advocacy for the LGBTQ plus community began when Lieb befriended an LGBTQ plus congregant at her church and joined forces with him to make the church a reconciling congregation. The next award presented by the gala is the 2022 National Leadership Award. This award will be given to openly gay Jonathan Capehart, who is an author at The Sunday Show with Jonathan Capehart. Capehart's introduction will be presented by MSNBC weekend anchor Katie Fang. Jonathan Capehart is a Pulitzer Prize-winning associate editor of The Washington Post and longtime MSNBC host. Capehart is a regular moderator of panels at the Aspen Ideas Festival and for the Aspen Institute, the Center for American Progress, and the Brussels Forum of the German Marshall Fund. He also served as a policy advisor to Michael Bloomberg in his first successful campaign for New York City mayor. The third award by the gala is the 2022 Changemaker Award. It is intended to recognize someone who embodies an intersectional vision for a society where LGBTQ plus people are free to be themselves. This award goes to X Gonzalez. Gonzalez will be introduced by leading student activist, president of PRISM, and Queer News Tonight anchor, also It's Happening Out host, Max Fenning. X is at the forefront of advocating for gun violence prevention, including intersectional issues such as racial justice and LGBTQ plus rights. X is a survivor of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. The honorees represent the best of the LGBTQ plus and allies of our community and are recognized by the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala 2022. These are incredible folks that deserve these awards, totally. I personally am super looking forward to meeting X Gonzalez. What they did, the youth, the powerful message when, we call BS, when they went up there and said that in Washington was riveting, was unbelievable. And they are here with us tonight. And that award is so deserved. Also, the Gatinsky family, I met them at the gala kickoff a couple months back. What they do, and they are straight. That's what blows me away. This is a straight family doing so much for our community.
Advocacy.
And Mr. Capehart, we can go on and on.
I am so excited to meet Mr. Capehart, and we have him here tonight.
Yes. And absolutely no introduction necessary. Katie Fang has already sat this evening and sang your praises. Of course,
we talked mad stuff about you.
Yes, all of the secrets. The LGBTQ community, of course, needs no introduction. Jonathan Capehart, you're being recognized tonight in the National Leadership Award. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Here in South Florida. Being in an event like the National Task Force, what does it, as a gay man, what does it mean to you?
I've been trying to find the words. I remember way back when former Mayor Dinkins, another organization 15 years ago wanted to honor me. And I was like, why are they honoring me? I haven't done anything. And he looked at me and he said, Jonathan, never deny anyone the opportunity to honor you. I was like, oh, when you put it like that. But to get this award from the task force really was, it's an honor that I can't really put into words. I'll try to do it tonight in my speech, but it's the National Leadership Award, which all I do is write and talk. that's what I do. But it's the task force that does the real hard work of like walking the halls of power and demanding equality and justice for us, for our community. And so for this organization to say, hey, we see you as a leader, we want to honor you, is just something that I hold right here. I don't know how else to.
You know, Jonathan, we do Queer News Tonight. We broadcast live LGBT evening news on Apple every night.
Oh.
And I'm a news junkie, and I probably could tell your resume better than you could. I watched you all over. Morning Joe is one of my favorites. When you represent the way you do at Washington Post, at MSNBC, and being a person of color and being gay, what does all of those intersections in terms of doing the news and the representation that you have in news, what does that mean to you in terms of what you represent to the LGBTQ community?
Well, the great thing about being an opinion writer, so I'm a journalist, I do report, columnists do their own reporting, but the great thing is, as a columnist, once I do my reporting, I get to say what I think.
Yes.
And with a lot of the issues that, you know, are facing the country throughout my career, they have impacted me as a Black person, as a Black man, as an out gay man, as an out gay married man. And usually I'm the only one of any of those identities around that table at the editorial board meeting at the Washington Post. Or not so much MSNBC because, you know, it's the rainbow at MSNBC, but certainly at PBS NewsHour. You know, I'm the Black gay man sitting at that table and saying, can we just call out what's happening here that's racist?
Yes.
And that's terrible. And the Republican Party needs
Or homophobic.
Or homophobic.
Absolutely.
And what's wonderful is I hear back, particularly from the PBS audience, saying to me, I never thought of it that way. Every time you're on, you make me think. And I think it's because I'm certainly the first out LGBTQ person in that role on Friday nights, first Black person in that role. And so now, after how many decades of seeing either two white men or white man and a white woman, but now there's an out gay Black man sitting at the table with a different perspective, but the same pedigree.
Yeah.
You can't discount.
That's amazing. You're speaking to the president tomorrow.
No,
right?
oh, that was yesterday.
Yesterday.
Did it yesterday.
How was that experience for you? I mean, as a LGBTQ representative, I mean, I could only imagine that must have been a really interesting
And
interview.
the full interview hasn't been published yet. Is that correct?
The full sit-down interview was broadcast yesterday on the readout. The walk and talk that we did, that was only supposed to be 5 minutes, but ended up being just under 10 minutes, airs tomorrow on my show, which I'm doing live from Miami tomorrow.
Coming, right.
The experience was, and I've interviewed President Biden many times when he was vice president, when he was candidate for president this go around, vice president-elect. And we've got this interesting rapport, I think, where when we get to talking, we really talk. It's a conversation, and I feel like he feels comfortable talking with me. And so I wasn't freaked out in that regard, talking to him, because we've talked so many times before. I will say, I think he's running again, and definitely he loves the job. He absolutely loves the job. But the best part wasn't talking to him. The best part was riding on that ride. I got to ride on Air Force One, which was a dream.
Jonathan, I know your time is very precious here tonight as we're here at the Task Force Gala. One last question that we want to ask you about is what we're watching here in Florida. You're broadcasting your show tomorrow here. Florida seems to be the epicenter of even if I say it, hate, in terms of the culture wars that are going on. From your seat sitting in Washington, what do you think about what you're watching going on here in Florida?
It's breathtaking in a horrifying way. I'll say in my speech tonight that, you know, when I came out to my mother 30 years ago, 32 years ago, 1990, first words out of her mouth were, "Don't tell anybody." America and journalism were two completely different things back then than they are now. There's been a lot of progress, but Florida and Texas and lots of other places are showing that with every step forward, there are a few steps back, and it requires us to constantly fight. Fight in the sense that every generation, I think it was Congressman Lewis, the late Congressman Lewis, who said, every generation has to renew the fight for justice and renew the fight for progress. And if anything, Florida has reminded people that, yeah, you can see us on television. Yeah, we're on the stages of Broadway. We're now in boardrooms and everywhere. And yet, the focus now are on our children. And so now we've got to not pick back up, keep fighting.
Yes.
And it should be a fight that we join willingly, because it's not just for us, not just for our community, but it's also for our country. We are part of the fabric of this country, and we need to not only remember that, but we need to remind them that.
Well, we're going to bring you every word of Jonathan Capehart's speech tonight. He is at the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala, and he is the National Leadership Award winner. Jonathan Capehart, thank you very much for joining us tonight on Queer News Tonight.
Thank you for paving the way. As a Black queer person coming up in this industry, I look up to you. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Deserved.
Thank you.
And we love your tie.
Thank you.
And now we're going to queer up South Florida and Florida. The National LGBTQ Task Force Gala supports the vital Queer the Vote initiative before midterm election. The National LGBTQ Task Force is queering the vote leading up to the 2022 midterm by driving LGBTQ plus people to allies to the polls in key battleground states. That includes Florida. The task force is building grassroots people's power and creating the conditions to deliver concrete wins for LGBTQ plus people. The task force has been conducting year-round engagement, enhancing the volunteer experience, building partnerships, increasing visibility, and setting measurable goals. Its priorities are clear: LGBTQ plus rights, protections, and joy. The task force is working to motivate people to come forward and vote. Its website page says, quote, "Elections are often close, so even a few votes can determine our futures," end quote. The community is experiencing unprecedented systemic attacks on everything from bodily autonomy, access to safe abortion, and gender-affirming care, to attacks on marriage equity and education. By engaging with key constituents from Florida to Texas through phone banking, the task force is trying to mobilize LGBTQ plus voters and their allies to help elect LGBTQ plus affirming local and national candidates and incumbents. LGBTQ plus voters have the power to change the outcome of elections completely. The community deserves a democracy that works for LGBTQ plus people and not against it. The community members and allies can join the Kikis from the task force website on October 27th or Queer the Vote. They can contribute to this mission by engaging in actions such as phone banking to increase voter turnout in this upcoming election. Both elections from Florida's governor's race, Charlie Crist, and Senate race, Val Demings, are in statistical tie inside the margin of error with two of the most anti-LGBTQ plus elected officials in America. That's Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis and Senators Marco Rubio. The midterms elections are November 8th. And I want to remind everyone the importance of turning out. Last episode, I reminding the millennial community, but now I want to expand it. This is important, and it's just around the corner, November 8th.
It's just a couple of weeks away, and look, everybody's already received probably their absentee ballots, right?
Yes.
If you receive that in the mail, make sure you fill it out and send it back. Again, they're trying to erase us. So if your signature doesn't match your license from 1984, they might send it back. All right, so make sure that you get that filled out and send it out as soon as possible. These elections are just so important this year.
Absolutely. Al, you spoke with hopefully our next governor, Charlie Crist, and Val Demings, I'm sure. What do you think we are getting the word across? Do you think
no?
No,
we're just not, and that's why these next weeks we're just a couple of weeks away now. It's very, very important that the LGBTQ community, we all talk among ourselves. It has to be a major topic of conversation with all of our community and allies, because if not, the turnout is not going to be enough to turn the hate away that we're watching in these culture wars. There's literally tens upon tens of millions of dollars are being spent in Florida to spread hate and lie and manipulate messaging. And it's really important that we get out.
Well,
so the answer in short order is no.
Is no. Okay, so let's think about, okay, Ron DeSantis has to be the worst governor in my lifetime, okay,
Yes.
for sure, especially for LGBTQ plus, right? He won by how many votes last time out?
It was so close, 16,000 votes
Oh my
in the
God.
state of Florida out of 8.5 million approximately votes. The statistics show the Florida LGBTQ Task Force, the Dolphin Dems, SAVE, etc., have done statistical analysis that in Broward County, I live in Fort Lauderdale, in Broward County, if there was an increase of 2% of voter turnout than there was in the last midterms, Charlie Crist will win as governor and Val Demings will win as senator, just in Broward County.
2%.
2%
Wow.
increase of turnout.
Oh,
It is that close.
It is that close.
It is that close. So if you're not talking to your friends, your family, and your allies, you're probably setting yourself up for great disappointment on November 9. And the task force is doing everything that they can do to queer up that vote. Next, let's queer up business. The National Task Force support of South Florida's LGBTQ Equality Fund. Last year, the Trevor Project reported that 42% of LGBTQ plus youth seriously contemplated suicide and 75% experienced discrimination. These numbers are startling and call upon us all to step up and care for this important part of our community. The LGBTQ Equity Fund is a new philanthropic collaboration led by our fund, the National LGBTQ Plus Task Force, and the Miami Foundation, in partnership with numerous other allies, champions, and supporters, without whom this initiative would not have been possible. Together, they direct grants to organizations strengthening the LGBTQ plus community in South Florida. Our fund foundation promotes philanthropy, manages enduring investments, and conducts impactful grant making to improve the lives of LGBTQ people in South Florida. It was launched in 2010 by a small group of committed activists, philanthropists, in response to the low ratio of philanthropy directed to LGBTQ organizations in the region and across the country. Since 2011, our fund foundation has become the third largest LGBT foundation in the country, granting $1.5 million annually to worthy nonprofit agencies advancing LGBTQ causes in South Florida, and has grown its asset base to over 17 million. The Miami Foundation, on the other hand, is focused on building a stronger Miami forever. Over the last 50 years, it has invested more than $500 million into LGBTQ plus community and houses more than 427 million in assets focused on strengthening Greater Miami. Well, the Miami Foundation does an amazing job in Miami-Dade County. The task force in this strategic alliance, I think, is a tremendous idea, because these major organizations are saying, let's not work in a vacuum all by ourselves. Let's collaboratively work together. In Broward County, and really all over South Florida, our fund is becoming iconic in its support of community. It is a foundation designed for LGBT legacy giving, for you to make plans in will, assets, etc., and to create a fund where your estate, your lifetime assets upon your death can be beneficial to LGBTQ community forever. And our fund does really a great job with that.
Our fund is incredible, and yeah, they help so many LGBTQ plus organizations, but they really do like an umbrella over a lot of LGBTQ plus organizations. They deal with Lambda Living for the older folks, right?
Yes.
They deal with cancer associations. They deal with SunServe. They deal with SAGE. All the prominent bigwig organizations that we know and love
Yes.
depend on our fund as well at certain times of the year, and they always pick the best of the best. Even celebrate Orgullo. So many places, so many events that we go to all the time on a yearly basis, and the money comes from a great place that is our fund.
Absolutely.
And the notion that united we're stronger, right? I love the partnership between three big dogs, and they're putting their dollar where their mouth is, right? When we look at these numbers, they're pretty outstanding, but that's what it takes to get to where we want to be, which is changing minds and hearts and providing these services.
You know, one final thought. I know the Miami Foundation has done that for Miami-Dade County and their support of LGBT. Specifically with our fund and what they've done in LGBT and their track in South Florida, we went through a pandemic. Faye and I know because we talked about it about 1,000 times. Queer News tonight. No one took it on the chin more in pandemic than our 501c3 organizations. And they provide life-saving services, counseling, suicide prevention, students, trans, people of color, Latino support, lesbian support, cultural activities. Much of that was wiped out by the pandemic.
Yes.
And those one of the few, very few white knights that we had was our fund, who said, okay, as terrible as this pandemic is, our fundraising, etc., they provided emergency grant after emergency grant to keep our nonprofit 501c3s up and running.
We would have lost a bunch of them if it wasn't for our fund.
Exactly. So the community is going to be forever grateful to this kind of fundraising effort of foundations, and specifically to the Miami Foundation and, of course, our fund.
Our fund. So we continue with queering up South Florida and Florida. Task Force Gala benefits SAGE, Pet Project, Yes Institute, and Camillus House. The National LGBTQ Task Force Gala allows the LGBTQ plus community and its supporters to come together. It raises funds to support different organizations and initiatives that serve the diverse needs of the LGBTQ plus community. Tonight's event is no different than its long history. The task force has a list of credible beneficiaries that are making a great positive impact on the LGBTQ plus people of Florida and across the country. Tonight's recipients include SAGE. SAGE works for the welfare of LGBTQ plus senior population in the Miami region. SAGE also offers counseling and treatments for those who need housing for LGBTQ plus elders, apart from conducting many social events for them. Another task force beneficiary is the Pet Project. The project started in 2002 to help people suffering from HIV/AIDS or other disabling conditions to keep their pets safe and healthy by offering pet care and support. The third beneficiary is the Yes Institute, and it helps LGBTQ plus youth and their families through education. It conducts community education on gender identity and sexual orientation to help LGBTQ youth and their families and to prevent youth suicide. The Yes Institute each year conducts over 200 community dialogues and courses for a wide variety of parents and students, nurses and medical personnel, school teachers and administrators, counselors and psychologists, business executives, police departments, and other nonprofit organizations and human service organizations. The National LGBTQ Task Force Gala final beneficiary is Camillus House, which has provided humanitarian services to the indigent and homeless populations of Miami-Dade for the past 55 years. That includes LGBTQ plus people, by the way. You can support any of these worthwhile charities by going to their website or social media. You know which one is dear to my heart.
Wait, let me guess.
The old people. No! The Pet Project. I love Sue, and she is just incredible what they do over there. That is how it started. People were living with HIV and AIDS and were not able to take care of their dogs, and they came in, the Pet Project came in and helped them with food, helped them with medicine for their dogs, and also just helps them with just, getting back on their feet. But all these beneficiaries are just incredible also. The Yes Institute is just phenomenal when it comes to youth.
I'm particularly voice support for SAGE because
the old people.
There's nothing sadder than an old lesbian sitting knitting with her cat
with my
on
cat.
her lap.
Oh
wait,
two cats.
SAGE does a great job.
I love SAGE,
market.
and also because many LGBT elder people don't have kids, right? And so to have this support is critical. So thank you for supporting these organizations tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we're going to queer up travel. Winter Party Festival returns to the South Beach after long pandemic interruption. Winter Party Festival is an annual week-long celebration of music, dance, and community, produced by the National LGBTQ Task Force to raise critical funds for the LGBTQ plus movement. This is the 30th year that the festival will be held, and it begins on March 1st through the 7th, 2023 in Miami Beach. And thousands of visitors from across the globe are expected to attend. For the LGBTQ community and allies, Winter Party is a place to rejuvenate and recharge, a place to clear their heads and engage their minds, a place to let loose and kick up their heels. Winter Party is a space where LGBTQ+ can enjoy themselves freely. Founded in 1994, the original Winter Party featured a single event, a dance party on the beach. It was an instant hit, and the Winter Party has grown ever since, becoming an iconic week-long festival featuring dozens of events and drawing crowds by the thousands from around the world. The underlying purpose of this festival, however, is bigger. Winter Party is a fundraising venture produced by and in support of the National LGBTQ Task Force. Proceeds from the 2022 festival will fund the task force's All of Me, All the Time campaign. The host hotel of this event is Royal Palm South Beach. You can buy the festival pass and book a hotel room directly from the official website of the Winter Festival. Passes begin at $305, and the VIP pass is available for $725. The festival will feature fun events and activities like a VIP cocktail reception, Saturday night party, the beach party, Sunday night party, and much more. Winter Party Festival is considered one of the must-attend LGBTQ travel events, and I cannot wait to attend. I have never been, but after covering the story, I'm so ready to go. Yes. Are we going together?
I'm so glad that we found Francia, because he was under a rock for the last 30 years. And we're like, he hasn't been to anything. And it's awesome that everything makes him happy. I'm like, look, here's a bathroom. He's like...
How can a music star never have been to an event?
You never been to the beach party? I mean, think about it.
This music star was stuck in a law firm for 7 years,
No,
working
that's
20
true.
hours a
Yes.
day. I have finally letting loose, kicking up my heels. First time wearing heels.
He's wearing
everybody!
heels.
You know, and I have to turn to Kitty Meow. Kitty, your longevity on South Beach, I imagine you've had a lot of interaction at Winter Party.
Absolutely. Last year we did it virtually. So Power Infinity and myself, we got together with the task force, recording our messages then. But a little known fact, Clark Reynolds and Dennis Leva, who are dear friends of mine many moons ago, conceptualized the first Winter Party on the beach.
Wow.
I mean, Sean DeFreitas did all of the visuals. And it was such an incredible experience. DJ Buck.
That was in '94?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And to see it grow so much and touch so many people's lives, it's truly an incredible experience.
It went from a one-day party to a whole week. I mean, it's a whole week. And at $725, it's worth getting that VIP ticket. Think about it.
Oh
All
my
you could drink
goodness.
all week long with 1,000 hot boys with no clothes on.
You know, Hotspots Magazine
Yes.
and Happening Out Television Network is a 501c3 nonprofit. And our mission is to help educate the community. And the Winter Party in March of last year was canceled at the 11th hour.
Yes.
Still because of issues
Because of COVID,
related,
right?
because of the pandemic. And we were a premier sponsor of Winter Party. We were going to have a platform set up at the hotel. I'm so glad that in 2023, we will return to that role as being a premier sponsor to help the National Task Force in the Winter Party. And a lot of people don't realize here in South Florida that the Winter Party and its national and international draw is a party that you place on the calendar.
Yes.
If you're in Germany, oh, I got to be in South Beach for March.
Yeah.
And in South Florida, we just seem to be a little blasé of our big party events, but winter is going to be the spectacular event of the first quarter of 2023. And
You won't need your coat.
yeah, I'm going to be there for absolute sure. All right, next, let's queer up education. And this is a favorite of mine. Creating Change Conference will be America's leading 2023 LGBTQ gathering. February 17 to 21, 2023. Write those dates down. It's going to be dedicated by the National LGBTQ Task Force to creating change. Creating Change is the nation's foremost political leadership and skills building conference for the LGBTQ plus community. The National LGBTQ Task Force is building a future where everyone is free to be themselves in every aspect of their lives. And today, despite all the progress that has been made to end discrimination, millions of LGBTQ plus people face barriers in every aspect of their lives, including housing, employment, healthcare, retirement, and even unbelievably basic human rights. These barriers must go. And through creating change and other advocacy programs like it, the task force is training and mobilizing thousands of activists across the nation to deliver a world where you can be you. All Creating Change 2023 programming is going to be held at the Hilton Union Square in San Francisco, California. The opening events and day-long institutes will be on February 17 and Saturday, February 18. Workshops and caucuses will be on Sunday, February 19, and Monday, February 20. The closing celebration will be held on Tuesday, February 21st. Registration for the event is now open, and you can go to the official website of the task force to register yourself. This year, by the way, is the 50th anniversary of the National LGBTQ Task Force, and kickoff tickets are available up until October 31st, 2022, at a discounted price of $390 for the entire conference event. All the training, everything. Tickets will be available at a general rate beginning November 1st, 2022, so get your tickets today. You can book a room at the Hilton Union Square at a discounted conference rate by January 29, 2023. And while there are not going to be simultaneous hybrid virtual programming this year, the task force has begun to launch a new program, Creating Change 365. It aims to be a series of year-round online engagements that enhance and grow the annual Creating Change experience for a virtual audience. I'm a big advocate and supporter of this because, and we're going to hear this theme through tonight's task force as we broadcast Queer News tonight here, that the best way to overcome and fight our adversaries, the political radical individuals in our state and in our country is through education.
Yes.
Yeah. Creating Change is the bullseye for that. Help understand what's going on, help recruit volunteers and people that are going to be the leadership, especially of tomorrow, which means young people, and help train them how to be leaders and activists in your individual community. The National Task Force, this event tonight, we're going to see the cream of the cream.
Yeah.
But it requires the people in the trenches to really propel and make change. And that's what's so fantastic of this educational leadership conference called Creating Change.
And to that point, it's also about sharing best practices and stories from the battleground, right? And so these opportunities allow for these kind of interactions, and that's what's so valuable from these workshops.
Well, and they really cover a lot of ground also. Let me tell you some of the workshops that were had last year, okay? How about White People Institute, Resisting White Supremacy Culture? How about that, all right? Or Unidos, Fuerza Latina Institute. I mean, everyone was, from the youth to the old folks, everybody was encompassed in an institute. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. So can just imagine what Creating Change 2023 is going to be all about. It's going to be an incredible, incredible place. And you get to be in San Francisco.
Yeah.
How much fun is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know? So get your tickets today.
You know, one other thought about Creating Change there. November 8 is not guaranteed. We don't know which side of the coin we're going to end up waking up to on November 9th. Creating Change, arguably in this 50th anniversary year, may be the most important that LGBT has ever faced, because we may be licking wounds that are inflicted on November 8th, and we are going to need to find new strategies of success. Many people argue that since gay marriage in 2015, a lot of our community has become complacent, especially older white gay men.
Yeah.
And we have an obligation to reinvent ourselves to make sure that we approach the foes of today, not the foes of yesteryear. And Creating Change is completely designed to do that.
Next, we report on our partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We normally broadcast from our permanent set at Sunshine in support of that partnership. Happening Out Television Network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ plus religious live broadcast in the world, as more than 30,000 watch every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern.
I'm Kiara Johnson, the Executive Director of the National LGBTQ Task Force. And as one of the most important civil rights organizations, I know the value of the support that comes from all corners of our community. That's why Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. Is our community important to you? Then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates. Share these news with your friends and family.
Post this broadcast in the many groups that you're a member of. Tonight's stories about our community deserve the attention of your family and friends. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
And if our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. And that is the passion of Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. That passion is reflected in tonight's special remote broadcast of Queer News Tonight, National LGBTQ Task Force Edition. Our queer community is important, and we encourage you to support the National Task Force mission of standing up for you. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including FayWhat, Francia, and Kitty Meow, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. Good night.
Bye.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.